This is the White House, home to the most powerful man in the entire world, the President of the United States and his entire family. However, it's definitely not just some run-of-the-mill residence. The White House also includes a plethora of important presidential business-related rooms that most likely you and I don't have in our homes. It makes it one of the most important buildings in the entire world and also one of the biggest targets for an attack on the United States. So how is it kept secure? What's inside? And more importantly, what is the government hiding underneath it? The White House, originally named the Executive Mansion, is the oldest federal building in the nation's capital in George Washington, signed an act of Congress declaring that the federal government would reside in a district not exceeding M square on the River Potomac. They held a competition for the design of the White House. 9 proposals were submitted, including one by a future president, Thomas Jefferson, but ultimately James Hoban won with his Georgian mansion design. The structure was to have 3 floors and more than rooms and would be built in sandstone. In the entire federal government was relocated from Philadelphia to Washington, and John Adams, the country's second president, moved into the still unfinished presidential mansion with his wife Abigail. Every president following would find themselves a resident of the White House. The White House would remain standing for an incredible years before it was torched by the British during the war. Luckily for the Americans, the building wasn't a complete loss, and only after a few years of rebuilding by the original architect James Hoban by the White House was back in action. You may be wondering how the White House got its name. Well, that's simply because everyone kept calling it that because, well, it's white. It's also just a more unique name than executive residence. It got to the point that President Teddy Roosevelt, who also referred to it as such, started changing its name to the White House in official documents shortly after the building would officially take that name. Speaking of Teddy Roosevelt, he would also be the first person to call for significant renovations of the place, which included the addition of the West Wing, moving the executive offices out of the main residence to make space for his large family. Various other additions over the years would add a special flavor to that place. This included a 3rd floor and even a new East Wing that provided the White House with more office space should it be needed. Unfortunately, just about years after Teddy had done his mass renovations, the building was beginning to collapse. It became evident that things needed to be done, and President Harry Truman would have to be the one to do it, so he initiated a complete renovation from to during which the interior was entirely gutted and rebuilt with a steel frame to ensure its stability, while not getting to spend his entire term designing the White House to his exact liking. This extensive overhaul did preserve the historic exterior while even modernizing the interior infrastructure. He even allegedly dug a bit deeper into the ground, making something new just in case of emergencies. But more on that in a moment. And as fascinating as the White House history was, it's also just as interesting today as it was back then, perhaps even more so. This is what the White House looks like today, and to save you from needing to painstakingly go around counting everything in the White House, there are rooms, perhaps even some secret ones, bathrooms, and 6 levels in the residence. There are also doors, windows, fireplaces, 8 staircases, and 3 elevators. The main building, known as the Executive Residence, contains, of course, the rooms where the president and his family sleeps and spends their free time. Key rooms throughout the central part of the building are aptly named Blue Room, Red Room, and Green Room, which, yes, are named because of the actual color of the rooms. The rooms themselves have had various uses over the years, but usually the distinct design of the rooms has resulted in it being used for meetings or gatherings. Other formidable features include the Rose Garden, used for press conferences and ceremonial events, and the State Dining Room, where formal dinners are held. It also contains a library and even a personal doctor's office, if you were wondering. Nope, the White House design is not all business. The building also includes recreational activities such as a swimming pool, a home movie theater, and surprisingly, a bowling alley. Yes, the White House has its own private bowling alley, making dates between the president and the First Lady incredibly easy and affordable. The building still has the wonderful West and East Wings. The West Wing houses the Oval Office, the president's principal workspace. It also includes the Cabinet Room, where the president meets with senior advisors and cabinet members. Perhaps the most important room in the entire West Wing is known as the Situation Room. Located on the ground floor of the West Wing, it lands adjacent to the basement level of the residence building. Also, it's called a room, but in fact, actually, it's a complex of secure rooms and communication centers where the president and senior advisors manage crises and coordinate with military and intelligence agencies. It was established by President John F. Kennedy, and following the Bay of Pigs invasion invasion, and over the years, the Situation Room has evolved into a high-tech command center. It has technology to allow for secure video conferencing, real-time data feeds, and advanced communication systems, all of which gives the president the power to monitor global events and make decisions fast. The Situation Room is often portrayed in films and TV shows as the place where most critical decisions are made, and it's probably safe to say that the real-life counterpart lives up to its depiction. On the other side of the resident building is the East Wing, which provides additional office space, contains the First Lady's offices and the White House Social Secretary's office. These are all some of the more publicly known areas of the White House, but what about the ones that the government tries to keep secret or at least hidden away? What about the rooms they keep in the basement of the White House? The Presidential Emergency Operations Center, a secure bunker built to protect the president and other key personnel in the event of an emergency. The POK, reportedly located beneath the East Wing, is designed to withstand nuclear explosions and other catastrophic events. It is equipped with its own power and air filtration systems, ensuring that its occupants can survive even in extreme conditions. The POK itself gained public attention during the September attacks when Vice President Dick Cheney and other senior officials took refuge there, but honestly, who knows just how long they've been hiding it down there, or what else they may also be hiding down there. As with anything shrouded in mystery, if questions can be asked, they will be. And the White House basement is no different. The secrecy surrounding the basement has even given rise to numerous myths and legends. Some speculate about the existence of subterranean bunkers that could serve as safe havens during extended crisis. Others imagine hidden archives containing sensitive historical documents or even artifacts of national significance. While many of these tales are speculative, the true extent of what lies beneath the White House remains a closely guarded secret. Okay, so with all this unconfirmed secret information, what exactly does the security for the White House even look like? It must somehow be stopping the biggest conspiracy theorists from sneaking into the underground bunkers. To expose some secrets, it may seem from the outside that the White House is an inaccessible fortress. However, the White House actually is regularly open to the public. However, while this is true, these visits require meticulous planning. Bookings must be made at least days in advance to allow time for thorough background checks. U.S. citizens must request access through their congressional representatives, whereas international visitors are advised to contact their embassies or consulates. So realistically, not just anyone can just waltz in the front door to greet the president at any given time. As for structural and technological security, the White House complex is situated at the heart of a highly controlled M-flight restricted zone surrounding Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. This airspace is closely monitored with numerous surface-to-air missile launchers stationed across the city, ready to intercept any aircraft that deviates from authorized flight paths as directed by the U.S. Air Force. The building itself is equipped with roof-mounted radar that meticulously scans the surrounding area for potential threats. You also aren't going to be able to successfully hide on the perimeter of the White House either, as it is under constant surveillance by an array of advanced infrared cameras. These cameras are capable of detecting even the slightest temperature variations, promptly alerting security personnel to any potential threats. So unless you're cold-blooded, good luck. While many of the White House's defense mechanisms operate out of public view, the surrounding fence is very much a visible and formidable barrier, originally standing m or ft tall. This iron fence is mounted on crash-resistant concrete footings and topped with barbs to deter intruders. In the fence was raised to m or ft and equipped with sensors that alert security when pressure is applied to the bars. The windows of the White House are bulletproof, capable of withstanding multiple direct hits from semi-automatic weapons. This level of fortification ensures that the president and their staff remain protected from external threats while in the biggest of emergencies, having the aforementioned POC to fall back on should all else fail. Speaking of failing, should somehow all the technology surrounding the White House fail, the place is also crawling with both Secret Service members and U.S. Park Police. So what do you think? Is the U.S. government hiding something under the White House that they don't want us knowing about? Perhaps some secret documents confirming the existence of aliens? Bye for now.